beauty standards. They're not even real. Really and truly, it's nothing more than an invisible rule book that we were trained to follow so that the world would find us more acceptable, palatable, worthy. But how much longer are we going to keep trying to break our backs and our banks trying to keep up with rules that like to change every 5 minutes? Let me ask you a question. Do you really want to keep relying on a stranger to tell you that you're enough? Or do you finally want to experience all the levels that beauty has to offer, the kind that feels very natural, effortless, feminine, and powerful? The world has been very successful in keeping us distracted, but you want to know the truth. The truth is, you are your own beauty standard. You always were. You just don't see it yet. And that's partly due to the fact that a lot of us still have a little girl inside that is still battling insecurities that were placed long ago from people, television, social media. But I'm gonna need you to finally just get fed up with it. I want you to just scream out loud, you know what? I'm over it. I'm over it. I am so over it. And I really want you to be over it too. Like, this is your life, girl. You really have to take control. So today, we're going to end all of this once and for all. We have to knock it out. The little girl in each of us is begging for her healing, and honestly, this is where all of this has to start. Let's play a little cause and effect for a second. Let's say as a little girl, you were teased for having 4C hair. Your hair was thick, it couldn't straighten out like everybody else's. Maybe you had a parent that didn't know how to necessarily handle that texture of hair, and you were teased about it. Your hair was never combed, you couldn't wear straight. Y'all get the point. The effect of that, now you're an adult, and you don't feel put together unless you have a 26-inch bust-down wig on every single day. And not even that you love to wear it. It's because deep down, somewhere in you, somewhere still buried in that little girl inside of you, you don't think your natural hair is enough. Maybe as a young buck, you got teased for having a big nose. You were a little girl that had a very big nose and everybody loved to remind you about it. The effect of that in your adulthood is that you haven't left the house since 2017 without contouring your nose every single day. And maybe you can't afford the rhinoplasty, so the makeup becomes the mask that hides those insecurities and keeps them quiet. That little girl grew up and then she became a high school girl, and maybe her family could not afford the cool girl starter pack. Now let me tell y'all something. I come from the era of Hollister and American Eagle. Specifically, when you had 2 polo shirts and you popped the collar on one of them, that shit was tacky. But the effect of that as an adult is what? Now you're chasing every new drop that comes out. Now you're breaking the bank and you're going to buy new outfits every single week. You have this need deep down that you don't want to feel left out again because of what you wear. I'm no doctor, but I could probably bet that 95% of the insecurities that we have in our adult years start in childhood, and they evolve as we do. A lot of them are encouraged or fueled by reality TV, Instagram. I came from the era of video vixen, so that was a big thing. Sometimes it's even fueled by our closest friends who may have been exposed to things before we were. In middle school, I just so desperately wanted to wear thong because one of my closest friends was wearing thongs. Now, I don't know if her mom actually allowed her to wear the thong, but I was like, well, I want to, dress like her. I want to, wear a thong. I even stole it. Sorry, Mom. I know now as an adult, I had insecurities at that moment. I wanted to be seen. I wanted to be accepted, and I wanted to do what she was doing. Once you're really exposed to those things that can fuel your insecurities, it's not like you can't unsee them. The only choice that you have at that time is to determine whether or not you're going to let that shape the individual that you become, or if you're going to dismiss it and choose your own path. But a lot of us at that age, we don't choose our own path. Here's a personal insecurity that I had to overcome, and I didn't overcome it until my adult years, and maybe you can relate. When I was a little girl, I struggled with being the brown-skinned girl. I didn't want to be the brown-skinned girl. I even asked my mom, why didn't God make me light-skinned like you? Now, obviously, being that young, I didn't have the language for it, but colorism was very much a part of my life. Now, here's the thing. I was praised, though, for having long hair. I had very long, thick hair, and I had body. I leaned into that, and I leaned into it hard. And the reason I did was because if I wasn't going to be praised for being a light-skinned girl, I was going to accept praise in other areas. I've always actually been a shapy girl. By the time I was in 8th grade, I wore a double D. My waist was about that big, and I had hips and booty. I was wearing the clothes that were tighter, that was getting all the attention. Obviously, not the right kind of attention. So clearly at this point, my insecurities have taken over my life. But then add on top of that, the era of the video vixen, then add in the Instagram models when they first really started popping off. And then when Fashion Nova really blew up, which I want to say was like around 2016. So I might have been hitting my early to mid I was in my mid-20s by that point. Truth be told, this was not me. This was not who I was at my core. This was only a version of me that I felt like God approved the most. Let me go ahead and give you some truth. You will never, ever see the real beauty within yourself until you tell the little girl version within yourself, you are safe to let that go. Our insecurities are suffocating us minute by minute, day by day, month by month, year by year. And every day they are costing us our mental peace, our emotional stability, and our money. And they need to be removed. Like right now. We can't even recognize how damaging modern beauty standards are because we're too busy using them as band-aids to cover up our own self-image wounds. We can't see the pressure because we're buried under it. The filters, the trends, the expectations are warping our reality. We follow these outlandish beauty routines not out of passion, but because it's out of fear. Fear that someone will see the unhealed versions of yourself. Fear that the little girl inside will be judged again. If we're going to truly heal, we're going to take time to actually heal that little girl within each of us. And we're going to have beauty standards in place that actually serve us. Then it is a must that individually we decide what beauty means to us. Not to the internet, not to the male gaze, not to the friends, the childhood wounds, none of it. Beauty has to be defined from within or it will always be controlled from the outside. Sorry, not sorry, but beauty has to be more than cute facial features, a long side part, quick weave, a slim waist, and a pretty smile. Yes, those might be considered beautiful attributes of physical beauty or whatever, but beauty has such a deeper meaning than that. There are layers, depths, qualities, strengths that a woman can possess that make her beautiful. And you want to know something? These are the things that will never show up on a selfie. Thanks to TikTok videos and Instagram Reels, we have a very short attention span now, and we have lost our ability to slow down. That is exactly what we need. We need to slow down, and until we slow down enough to look deeper within ourselves, we will never understand and see beauty for what it truly is. Let's look at what the textbook definition of beauty is. Beauty is the quality or group of qualities in a person or thing that gives pleasure to the senses or the mind. Meaning just as much as your shape or the symmetry in your face can be beautiful, so can your mindset, your thought process, your personal beliefs, your emotional maturity, your ability to stay grounded in a heated moment, your confidence in your natural state. All of these are forms of beauty, real, sustainable beauty. So when you are trying to decide what beauty means for you, start with the beauty of your mind. We know pretty privilege is real, it exists, and because of our lack of knowledge of what true beauty is, we have heavily relied on pretty privilege to get the quick attention, the like, the validation. But I want you to consider the privilege of intellectual charm. Being pretty works, but only for so long. A beautiful mind, though, one that has some depth, some softness, some intellect, some awareness, some confidence, that kind of beauty is forever. It grows and it matures. And more importantly, it quiets the noise of the comparison, the noise of the external validation, the noise of the unrealistic beauty standards. Think about all of the self-love journey content that's out there. It's deeper than just the bubble bath and the skincare mask. What are people really saying in those videos? They're saying that I am on an internal healing journey, that I am trying to redefine what beauty is in my life. It's small daily practices that eventually allow us to rewire ourselves. You want to know what develops that intellectual charm? It's the woman who is actively healing her inner child. It's the woman that learns to speak differently because she's uncovering the value within herself. A woman defining beauty on her own terms. A woman who knows that her beauty runs deeper than a filter, deeper than some trend, or deeper than anyone else's approval. Now, let me make this very clear. I am not here to judge what your personal beauty standard is. I'm not here to tell you what you should or shouldn't do, but what I am telling you is that you need to create a beauty standard for yourself because the choice is yours. Your beauty standard should be rooted in what you value, what you enjoy. The beautiful thing about setting your own standard is you will never, ever, ever find yourself again measuring against someone else's bar. So whether you decide to enhance something, embrace something, cover something, reveal something, wear a full face of makeup, or stay completely natural, do it because it fits your style, your expression, your comfort, your mood. Not because the world told you that it would make you more acceptable, more attractive, or more likely to fit in. Because the second you stop customizing yourself for approval and start defining beauty for your own peace, that's when you actually become your own beauty standard. Let's sit a little longer on this idea of customizing ourselves for approval, because here is the thing that nobody ever warns us about. The weight of that performance gets heavier as we age. If the little girl inside was never healed, and then you get into adulthood, and we all know adulthood starts showing its ass in the form of droopy boobs, cellulite, stress weight, hormonal chaos, or a full-blown midlife crisis. Girl, again, the weight of that performance gets heavier as we age. And the reason it gets heavier as we age is because we were always taught that beauty was something that we had to keep up with, not something that naturally evolves with us. So when our bodies begin to change, as women's bodies always do, we panic. We start judging ourselves. We start comparing ourselves. If you don't take anything else from this video, please hear me. Hear me on this particular part at whatever minute stamp this is. Women's bodies change, period. Not because we failed, but hello, we have lived and we're still living. Maybe in your experience of living, you've had some kids. Okay, well, how do our bodies change after having kids? What are some of the things on that list? Let's see. Stretch marks, the little kangaroo pouch that we have at the bottom, you know, the stretching of the abdominal wall. And my personal favorite, the wrinkled belly button skin. You know, after you've had so many kids, you get that wrinkly belly button. Then you have the weight gain, the saggy, deflated boobs. Or maybe in your experience of living, you haven't even had kids, but you still have gray hairs popping up like weeds in the grass. You have back pain from existing, loose skin, crow's feet, frown lines, hormonal acne, vitamin deficiencies, a metabolism that checks out without giving a 2 weeks prior notice. All of it across the board is normal. But here's what pisses me off the most. What pisses me off the most and irritates my soul is that we normalize all of the corrective measures, but we never normalize the changes themselves. We celebrate the Botox, we celebrate the filler, we celebrate the veneers, we celebrate the laser treatments, we celebrate the tummy tuck and the liposuction and the breast lifts and the injectables. And hey, remember, this is a judgment-free zone. I'm not here to judge you. If that's your thing, that's your thing, girl. I've had a little minor tweak too. All I'm saying is, why do we praise the corrections while shaming the symptoms of simply being a woman? We don't have a right to tell someone what choices they should make for their body. So what we should be doing is normalizing both sides of the playing field. Let's say hypothetically 2 different women have 3 children each. One woman decides that she wants to get a tummy tuck. The other woman decides that she's going to keep her wrinkled belly button. Neither one is wrong. Neither is less beautiful. Neither is stronger or weaker. They simply chose 2 different paths. The moment we shame the woman with the wrinkled belly button and we give praise to the other woman who had the cosmetic procedure done, we are reinforcing the idea that only corrected womanhood deserves applause. It's a lie, and we simply cannot continue to subscribe to that idea. Aging is not a failure, and altering something is not a betrayal. The only wrong answer in this case is making changes for the approval of people who do not live in your body. This is why choosing your own beauty standard and owning it is the real freedom. When you define what beauty means for you, you stop bending, breaking, and shrinking yourself. You can be a hot girl with gray hair, and you can also be a hot girl who dyes her gray hairs every 8 weeks. You can be a hot girl in a quick weave, a silk press, or your curly hair, no matter the type it is. You could be the hot girl with a bare face, or you could be the hot girl who loves a full face beat, the hot girl that has laugh lines, or you could be the hot girl that gets Botox in between her brows. You can be sexy in the crop top with the high waist skirt on, regardless of if you have stretch marks from childbirth or if you have tummy tuck scars. You can be beautiful with a flat stomach or one that has a little cushion to it. You can radiate confidence with boobs where gravity has taken over, or with a breast lift. All I want you to understand is that all of these versions of womanhood, they're real, they're valid, they're beautiful. What's not beautiful is letting someone dictate what you should change, hide, or fix. And I'm gonna say this plainly because this has happened to some women. Do not allow a man's opinions about your body be the reason that you get a cosmetic procedure done. Men don't quite fully understand the depths and the complexities of the changes that women's bodies go through. They just don't quite understand how loose skin is for us. They don't quite understand diastasis recti. They don't understand postpartum hair loss and all of the emotional changes that we go through with that, the hormonal shifts. They just don't get it. And they especially don't understand the aging under pressure. But at the end of the day, nobody, absolutely no one should have the authority over you to dictate what you decide to do about your own body. I mean, why would we let anyone who has never walked in our skin get the final say so on how we decide to treat it? Break the cycle because you can. You have the power right now to shift your whole entire perspective on what you think a beauty standard is. And I challenge you to do that. And hopefully by the end of this video, that is what you're doing at this point anyway. But that is all I have for you. Until next time, my loves. Bye. And my ponytail was a little messier than I expected.